And it's Ken Kraetzer for Talking Business. We're in Providence, Rhode Island today at Providence College. Just had a great seminar with alumni of our college radio station, WDOM, that so many of us learned our trade, and heard from three people. One is John Hennessy, had a career in broadcasting hockey, and Tory Ryden, who's continuing great career in Boston and in Maine, and Marty Moran, who has been in the radio business in New England, also now does voiceovers. Let's start with John, if we could. John, what enabled you to broadcast hockey here at Providence College and then be able to go on to work in the National Hockey League?
Well, it started when I was a freshman. I won an audition to do the games, and I really didn't know what I was doing, but I guess I had a God-given talent, and just through hard work and luck, I was able to move up through the ranks and worked in pro hockey for, gosh, 20 years.
Well, yeah, extraordinary championships you called for in the AHL and National Hockey League with the Devils. Tory Ryden, you have been in broadcasting, continue up in Maine. Tell us a little bit about how you made the transition into professional broadcasting, some of the key stops along the way.
Well, I answered an ad in the paper. Truthfully. So I really kind of lucked out because of my background at Providence, and I had done radio work, that I answered an ad in the paper, and the guy asked me, looked at me and he said, "Oh, good, you're not a communications or broadcast journalism major, you're an English major, you know how to write, and I'd want to hear your voice." And he heard my voice and he said, "You've got the job." So that was really a huge break for me, and I just, I think today we were talking about being scrappy and taking chances and being willing to move to kind of far-flung places and not know anyone and make no money, but doing that and getting all the experience. So I think that helped me quite a bit.
Boy, do I find that every day in what we do in broadcasting, covering the military and also covering business. And Marty Moran, you've been in radio and also now do voiceover. Tell us a little bit how you got into the business professionally, some of the key stops along the way for you.
Well, when I graduated from college, I came back to Providence, and I got an internship at WLKW, which was the #1 station at the time in Providence. It was beautiful music, and I'm sure nobody remembers that, but that's what it was.
Is that elevator music?
It was elevator music.
Yes.
But it was great. I learned so much there. Norm Jagalinzer was the program director and the morning news guy. I learned how to write news. I learned from the production director how to write scripts and produce stuff. So when I left Providence, I moved to Cape Cod, where I grew up, and one of the radio stations there was looking for somebody to run the Sunday morning programming, right? They would usually have public affairs and religious programming in the morning. And it was just like a 2-hour a Sunday job. They had another guy that also did it, who was like the main guy. They just wanted a backup. And so what happened is he didn't show up one day, so he lost his job, so I got his job. And then they put me on just part-time doing some on-air work, and the overnight guy didn't show up for his show, so he was gone, so I took his job. And so I just kind of worked it up that way, really. It's just little happenstances like that.
Can I just add one thing? Because I want to give a shout out to Father McBrien, the late, great Father McBrien. When I was a junior and I had an opportunity to line up an internship, which was not done here, he stood behind me the whole way, and I got an internship in the D.C. area during the summertime, and I got to do a show that aired at 4 in the morning on a radio station on rheumatoid arthritis. It was incredible. It was probably my crowning achievement, but I came back to school the next year, and I talked to Father McBrien, and he loved what I had done, and he gave me an A, and that started the internship program here at Providence.
And he didn't even have arthritis.
Hey, gotta ask one more round of quick questions. John Hennessy, it's one thing to do college radio. It's another thing to get into broadcasting professionally. You made it to the NHL. You wore a Stanley Cup Championship ring from the New Jersey Devils, calling their play-by-play. What helped you along the way professionally to be able to get to the top of the business?
Knowing Lou Lamoriello from my days here at Providence College. I mean, he knew, because I did the games for 4 years as a student here, that he could trust me. He knew I was a hard worker because I worked for 9 years at his minor league team in Albany, New York. So that really helped me mold my profession, and just you know, you think you know it, and you continue to learn and learn. And an opening occurred, and I was just happened to be the right guy at the right time, right place.
I got to ask Tory Ryden. She made a great comment about the importance of being a good writer. We see that all the time. I encourage that in classes I've taught, everything, the importance of writing. Why is it so important? How do you apply that in media and other types of professions?
Well, I think to be a good communicator, you've got to be a good writer. So if you can get it kind of down on paper, it helps you to actually gather your thoughts, and it really strengthens your confidence. But I'd also like to add an important piece of doing well is being kind to people. And I think that kindness gets you everywhere, and I think that paying things forward is really enormous. And I just think that being a really good scrappy worker and just being willing to do things that other people feel like they're above doing is really important.
And Marty, you're going to get the last word in. Just tell us a little bit. You made a point about being a self-starter and being scrappy and knowing what to do. I see that all the time when I'm out at a football game. They don't tell us how to get around the stadium. We have to find our way. Why is that so important? What have been some of the areas that you've seen, that importance of just being able to learn and adapt and work on the go when you're covering an event?
Well, what I think is that in the radio business, when I was trying to get into it, radio stations at that time, and I think it's still true today, they ran lean. You know, they didn't have any more staff than they really needed. And if you were the program director or the operations manager or the general manager or even the owner of a station, they had enough on their plate. So if you could come in with a certain set of skills, but also decide that I'm just going to go for it, I'm going to have a lot of enthusiasm, I'm going to be creative, I'm going to not need somebody to tell me what to do. I don't need to be micromanaged. I think that goes a long way in any business. But at the time that I was getting into radio, it was a very important thing. I can recall one of my friends he was working with me on a station on Cape Cod, and he got a part-time job at a station in Boston, just filling in weekends and stuff. The program director was so busy, and he hired my friend. And he told him, okay, now that I've hired you, I don't want to hear a peep out of you. You know, he just wanted the guy to do his job, show up, do a good job. That's all I want. And I think that it's really simple. It's not brain surgery, I don't think.
Well, Marty Moran and Tory Ryden and John Hennessy, great to see you, alumni of Providence College and WDOM. Congratulations all on what you've accomplished in media and being out here to tell the next generation about how to get it done. Good to see you. This is Ken Kraetzer for Talking Business at Providence College in Providence, Rhode Island.